All right, we were talking about how the Biden administration tripping over itself to accommodate the communist dictator, Xi Jinping. Well, let's look at what they're doing in Africa. The African Growth and Opportunity Act was established by Congress more than 20 years ago to develop the economies of small African countries while improving economic relations between the U.S. and countries in that region. Now, President Biden announced recently that he is removing 4 countries from participating in this act. What it gives them access to U.S. markets without having to pay fees coming in. Well, 2 of the countries, Central African Republic and Uganda, both were removed for gross violations of international recognized human rights. Well, the Central African Republic has some real issues with terrorism going on, but the inclusion of Uganda is notable because unlike the Central African Republic, Uganda is not included on the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom's list of countries of particular concern. So why was Uganda excluded from this program? Well, here it is. It's because Ugandan President Museveni refused to bow to the Biden administration's social agenda regarding abortion and the LGBTQ agenda. Joining me now to discuss this is Arielle Del Turco. She is the director of the Center for Religious Liberty here at the Family Research Council. Arielle, welcome back to Washington Watch.
Thank you for having me.
So this is another example of what we see in the Biden administration using their foreign policy, in this case, access to American markets, to punish countries that will not fall in line with their agenda when it comes to abortion and LGBTQ issues.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And there's a role for the United States government to be advancing human rights abroad, widely recognized human rights that are enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights that we would all agree on: the right to life, the right to religious freedom, to free speech, to the absence of slavery. These are things we can all agree on. However, the left has recently been using the banner of human rights to really push anything they want. So we have a variety of faux rights that they'll push, including abortion, and most prominently in Africa, they're pushing LGBT issues. So they will pick on these smaller, weaker African countries that have conservative cultures that are often dependent on foreign aid from Western countries, and they'll apply a great deal of pressure about advancing pro-LGBT policies in these countries. So it's really a shame that the Biden administration is using their leverage this way.
It's interesting that Ugandan President Museveni said that, look, the United States is not going to force us, and we don't need them. He said some of the actors in the Western world overestimate themselves and underestimate the freedom fighters of Africa. So they seem to be undeterred by this. Now, a part of this goes back to some mischaracterization of the laws that they've passed to protect minors and others in the country. Now, it's not laws that we might pass here in the United States, but it's laws that they have passed. And you've actually, in some of your international conferences you've gone to, you've spoken to Ugandan officials about this.
Yeah, absolutely. We've met with a variety of African leaders, and their heart behind some of these policies is really to prevent the exploitation of children. They're trying to get that under control in their countries, and they view some of these laws against child molestation, against molestation of elders, of disabled people. They're strengthening laws against these things to really combat some depravity that's happening. So these are good measures, and there are other measures that I don't think we would pass here. I don't think we would even necessarily support. But we have to recognize that this is a sovereign country, that they're trying to do the best that they can and manage their own culture and promote their own values, which happen to be more conservative, more religious, more traditional. And as you've mentioned, we've spoken with leaders who say that the State Department goes to their embassies, meets with them regularly, and their top agenda item are LGBT issues. With everything going on in the world right now, it is absurd that this would be a #1 priority for the State Department. But we even heard Secretary of State Antony Blinken say this himself a month or two ago, that LGBT issues are a top foreign policy priorities, and we're really seeing this play out to the detriment of American foreign policy right now.
Wow. Another example of the fact that elections have consequences. I mean, under the Trump administration, the #1 foreign policy we talked about on this program, I've had former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo here, he said it, it was religious freedom. Now, you don't even find that in this administration. Arielle, thanks so much for joining us, and appreciate the great work that you do at the Center for Religious Freedom.